All right, so Jenna Ortega, she's everywhere these days, right? Her
Yeah.
career, like her whole trajectory is, it's pretty wild.
Mm-hmm.
We're diving into her Wikipedia page today,
Okay.
which, seems like as good a place as any to start,
Yeah.
right?
It's a great place to start to understand her whole, like, journey.
Yeah, exactly. And it's pretty amazing. Like she's only what, in her early 20s
It's incredible.
and also has done so much.
Hmm.
I don't know, was there like anything in particular that made you want to like dive into her story?
Well, I mean, when you think about it, it's kind of mind-blowing, right?
Yeah.
She's been acting for over half of her life.
Oh yeah.
Like, she started at 6 years old.
Oh my gosh.
And
Yeah.
that's got to, I mean, that really shapes your whole experience in Hollywood,
Yeah.
especially as a young Latina, navigating that whole industry.
That's a really good point. I mean, it really adds another like layer to those early years.
Yeah.
Especially, back then the limited roles that probably even existed for, young Latina actresses.
Absolutely.
Mm.
And, it mentions on her Wikipedia page that her mother was so dedicated, she would drive her all the way from Coachella Valley to L.A.
Oh.
for these auditions.
Wow.
Sometimes for 6 hours, like round trip.
Oh my God.
That's commitment.
That's more than commitment. That's a whole other that's like next level.
It is.
I can't even imagine like wow, that's got to shape your like work ethic.
Yeah,
But it clearly like made an impact.
it did.
And to think like she almost chose soccer over acting.
I know.
Can you imagine?
That alternate reality.
Right.
It's kind of wild to think about, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
But thankfully for us, she got her breakout role in Disney Channel's Stuck in the Middle,
Okay.
which she was only 13 at the time.
Wow.
And she was leading a show that was actually inspired by her own family dynamics.
Really?
Yeah, like it was very close to her own life. That's got to be, I mean, talk about a blessing and a challenge,
Yeah.
to bring that much personal experience to a role, especially at that age.
At 13, yeah. It makes you wonder how much those early experiences, even with a network like Disney,
Right.
how much that played a role in her wanting to take on more mature roles.
Yeah, you're totally right. And if you look at, like, her filmography, you can see that really deliberate shift.
Okay.
Like, she even said in an interview that, like, people just assumed that Disney Channel was it.
Really?
Yeah, like, that's all she could do.
Wow.
But clearly she had, like, bigger ambitions.
Thank goodness.
Right.
Because then we got to see her range in shows like You on Netflix.
Right.
Which, I mean, talk about a completely different genre.
Completely.
A thriller, no less.
Yeah, You was, like, it was a pivotal role for her, for sure. It proved that she could handle those darker, more complex characters.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of, like, paved the way for even more challenging projects,
Mm-hmm. It's like she went from zero to horror icon in, like, record time.
Yeah.
Which, speaking of You,
Yeah.
it's kind of the perfect segue because then she, like, fully embraces the horror genre.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Scream, X, Studio 666,
Mhm.
and then back again for Scream 6.
It's true.
I mean, she really dove headfirst into horror.
She did. It's like she fully immersed herself in it.
And she's so good in those roles.
She is.
Like, you can just tell she's not afraid to really, like, explore the darker side of a character.
Yeah.
There's a real intensity there.
Yeah, it's captivating, isn't it?
It is.
Like, she draws you in.
Yeah.
And, the critics, they've definitely taken notice.
Yeah.
Like, even her Wikipedia page, they call her, like, Gen Z's Scream Queen.
Right.
Which, I gotta say, it's a title she's earned.
It totally suits her, especially, like, even going back to, her admiration for Dakota Fanning. Like, she's talked about wanting to be, like, the Puerto Rican Dakota Fanning.
Yeah.
And now it's like she's kind of, like, carving her own path in horror,
Mm-hmm.
just like Fanning did. It's like this, like, full circle moment.
It really is.
It's pretty cool.
And speaking of, like, iconic roles, I mean, we can't not talk about the one that, like, catapulted her to, like, superstardom.
Yeah.
Wednesday Addams in Netflix's Wednesday.
Oh, for sure.
I'm curious, like, what were your first thoughts when you heard she was cast as Wednesday?
I mean, I remember thinking it was like such a brilliant casting choice
Yeah.
because, she has that perfect blend of like dry wit and intensity that just like screams Wednesday Addams.
Oh.
And then like seeing her performance, the way she embodies that character, it's incredible.
It is.
Like I read somewhere that she learned to play the cello for the role
She did.
and speak German.
She completely immersed herself in the role. Yeah.
Wow.
Like even on her Wikipedia page, it talks about how she really drew inspiration from silent film acting.
Yeah.
Like using, subtle expressions in her eyes to really convey emotion.
Wow.
Which, I don't know, I feel like it just adds like a whole nother layer to Wednesday Addams.
Totally. It's like that level of dedication it's pretty remarkable. Like
Yeah.
she's clearly not afraid to push boundaries and
Yeah.
take risks, even when it comes to like such an iconic character.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what I thought was interesting?
What's that?
Just going back to her Wikipedia page,
Hmm.
it mentions that she actually like changed some of her lines on set
Really?
to better like align with Wednesday's character, which I don't know, that speaks volumes to her like artistic vision.
It really does.
Especially, at such a young age.
Totally. Like that's a really good point. I mean, it shows how she's not like just an actor.
Yeah.
She's like a true artist, right? Like
Yeah.
she's not afraid to advocate for her character and to make sure that, her portrayal is authentic. And that kind of dedication, that's kind of rare, especially for someone, navigating the pressures of Hollywood.
Yeah.
But, it makes you wonder, with all this talk about, horror and intensity and all this, like,
Yeah.
what is next for her?
Yeah.
Because she's clearly not afraid to, like, embrace the dark side.
Mm-hmm.
But she's also expressed this desire to avoid being typecast.
Yeah, it's a good point. Like
Mhm.
she's built this incredible reputation in horror,
Right.
but she's still so young.
She is.
And she has so much more to offer. It
Yep.
would be amazing to see her like explore different genres
Totally.
and different kinds of characters.
Yeah, for sure.
And it seems like she's already kind of doing that. Her
Mhm.
Wikipedia page mentions like an upcoming film with Taika Waititi,
Right?
which I mean, talk about a departure from her recent roles.
It'd be different, yeah.
Right. And then she's also involved with a couple of A24 projects.
Oh, yeah. Those are always interesting.
Which, I don't know about you, but those always have me really curious.
Twice, yeah.
Because they seem to like push the boundaries of storytelling.
For sure. Yeah.
But okay, but we can't forget about, the big one,
Right.
Wednesday season 2.
Yes.
What's the latest on that?
Well, it seems like all those like behind the scenes rumors that were
Yeah.
going around, like they were totally blown out of proportion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
But she's confirmed to return for season 2.
Okay, good.
And not just that, but she's actually going to be taking on a bigger role this time around as an executive producer.
Wow, executive producer, that's huge.
I know.
Especially at her age. Like that's pretty amazing.
It's really impressive.
I mean, it really speaks to like her talent
Yeah.
and the amount of respect she commands in the industry. I mean, it's really inspiring to see, and especially like it's one thing to, have that level of success and talent,
Right.
but then to use your platform for good, which, her Wikipedia page mentions.
Yeah.
Her advocacy, for immigrants and refugees.
Mm.
And then her like stance against bullying and
Yeah.
and her, championing of women's rights, you know.
Mm. She's clearly very passionate about using her voice to make a difference.
It's really cool to see.
It is.
And it seems like, she approaches like her platform with, a good head on her shoulders.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially like when it comes to something like, social media.
Right.
It's, she's active on Instagram, I know,
Right.
but she's also like spoken about being cautious of like misinterpretations
Mhm.
and just the pressure to like maintain a certain image online, which I don't know, that's pretty refreshing to hear, especially from someone so young.
It really is.
So as we kind of start to wrap up this deep dive into Jenna Ortega's career, I don't know about you, but I feel like we're kind of left with this question, like what's next for her?
Yeah.
With all this talent, with this dedication,
True.
and just her commitment to, authenticity and everything.
Yeah.
what do you think, like, her mark on Hollywood's going to be?
Yeah, what you going to do next, right?
It's going to be exciting to watch it all unfold.
For sure.
Well, with that, this has been another deep dive. We'll catch you next time.